Well, hello. This is Grandpa Roy Haney. How you doing? This is for all my grandkids and all coming up on Father's Day. I thought I'd give a story, not actually my family, but my wife's family. I want to tell you about her father. Now you have to understand that her father was basically from Montana, lived in Oregon, Washington, but he was a cowboy. He was a powder monkey. And I want to tell you the story that I was told by Kathy Neville. Now, she told the story about the first time that she ever saw George Moore. They were living in the desert, and they were living in a cabin, kind of out desolate. And she's there all alone because Warren had gone off to do logging, and she's a young bride, and here comes a man, sees him miles away in the desert. He's riding a horse. He rides right up to the house. He gets off his horse. He ties his horse to the railing. He walks right past Kathy, walks right into the house, walks right into the kitchen, walks right over to the refrigerator, opens the refrigerator, gets a beer out, sits down at the kitchen table, takes a drink of his beer, sits there a minute, and then looks at her. Says, "Who the are you?" Kathy looked at him, says, "I'm Kathy Neville, Warren's wife." Says, "Well, he got married, huh? I'm George Moore." And that was the very first time Kathy Neville ever met George Moore, being a cowboy. Now, George Moore was an interesting character. We met him later on through stories from an extended family. And one of his sons told about the story of him having a stump. Yep, had a stump in the backyard, didn't want it. They lived in Oregon. Well, George Moore, having been a powder monkey for the railroad, that's a man who handles explosives, went down to the hardware store and says, "I need about 3 sticks of dynamite." The man looked at him, says, "You can't buy dynamite, you have to have a license." "A license? Why do I need a license?" Says, "You have to have a license." "So, well, how do I get a license?" Says, "Go to the courthouse, take a test." He walked to the courthouse, says, "I'd like to take tests, get my dynamite license." And clerk says, what it'll cost is, here, put the money down, and gave him the test, and he went through the test, took it, no studying. He got down to one question, says, "I won't answer this question." And the clerk says, "Well, why?" He says, "Well, if you do any of those 3 choices, you're going to die." He says, "This is wrong, this is not to be done this way, and I am not going to answer this question." Well, they took the test, and they looked at all his answers, and they were all correct. They called up the state, and they checked on this one answer, and the state told him, says, "If you do it that way, you're going to blow yourself up." And they changed the Oregon dynamite explosive handling because of George Moore. He was about 70 years old at that time. Went back hardware store, got his dynamite, took the stump out, didn't hurt nobody, and everybody was happy. This is Grandpa, and you take care, and I hope everybody has a wonderful time. Bye-bye.